Hello and welcome to This Is. Valve said, screw you, PlayStation. Of the 5th year that the PlayStation 5's come out, we're going to come out with our own console.
The PlayStation 5 is just the PlayStation 3 minus 2.
Okay, regretting having Aaron on here already. So Valve has released a multitude of hardware this morning.
It's not Half-Life 3.
Their website still says, like, we do software, but it's like, not really anymore.
Unless you can gamble your skins on it, we don't release it.
Yeah. New hardware that they released today is a Steam controller, which is basically a Steam Deck without the deck. Not as exciting as the other stuff.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty straightforward translation of the Steam Deck controls into just a handheld form factor. The buttons on the back seem like they're a little bit nicer. It's got magnetic joysticks. Seems pretty high quality.
Obviously, we haven't touched it. Like, it's just got announced mere moments ago. I'm looking at their website. It looks cheap.
It looks pretty plasticky. It's also big.
Yeah, the Steam Deck feels great. So like I'm not discounting it. I don't know why, just looking at it.
It's giving Duke a little bit.
Kind of, yeah.
Have they released a price on this?
I don't see one.
If I were to guess, I'm sure this is going to be pretty expensive. This seems like it'd be on the tier of something like a DualSense Edge or the Xbox Elite controller.
So we're literally learning about this as it's on here. So it's basically just a Bluetooth controller. It does have wireless charging. One puck, two jobs. It's a wireless transmitter and provides a fast, stable connection for your Steam controller. It also has a charging station to plug your controller in magnetically.
What could be interesting is you could kind of recreate the Switch. I wonder if I could connect this controller to a Steam Deck itself and then kind of put the Steam Deck up on something and then use the controller to play
you
that
definitely
way.
could do that with Bluetooth. If you also don't want to have that and you don't want to be laying, sitting there with it, you could also go with the Steam Machine. Gaben's been watching This Is because he looked and says, I love the shapes. They said, you know what? We're just going to make a cube.
That is the most tungsten cube looking console of all time. This should have been a triangle so that it would have been 3 sides and then Valve could finally count to 3.
That would be a pyramid.
No.
We know they make boxes. Orange box.
Yeah, why isn't this an orange box?
Well, it can be because it has a removable faceplate.
2007 is back. We have faceplates, y'all.
But let's talk about the specs. A lot of speculation was that this was going to be basically just the exact Steam Deck CPU. So they have this listed as a semi-custom AMD Zen 4 6-core CPU, up to 4.8 gigahertz and 30 watt TDP. 16 gigs of RAM and 8 gigs of VRAM, so much more powerful than the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck does like 15 TDP?
Yeah, and that's designed to suck as little power as humanly possible because it being a handheld means you need the battery life. This doesn't have that. Also, this seems like pretty much what we expected out of the hardware. I think this is probably taking the place of a Steam Deck hardware refresh or sort of like a Steam Deck 2.
Which I wouldn't be surprised if we see this in a Steam Deck 2. There's 2 models that you can do, either a 512 NVMe or 2 terabyte NVMe. It's not apparent right away whether you can replace those NVMe's or not. Which the other, like the Steam Deck, it's very easy to just buy the cheaper one and put your own drive in.
That is a good point. I think we can probably expect that it will be, but we don't have that confirmed yet. Steam has been pretty nice about letting you kind of open up their hardware. They even have a video on it. It's not like it's the greatest to move around in, but they will let you do it.
It's got DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0. Little weird that it's not HDMI 2.1. They do say that it can do up to 4K 120.
I doubt there's even going to be that many games that it'll run at 4K 120 outside of like Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
So it seems like more it's just allowing it to have that spec rather than something they were probably targeting.
Yeah, I would say they're saying it can do AK60 at DisplayPort 1.4. No, it can't.
Also, importantly, it has 3 USB ports. Guys, 3. Valve can count to 3. I think this means Half-Life.
Especially because this is SteamOS 3. The other thing too is that they call out that this is a PC. This is not a console, it's a PC. It comes running SteamOS, but if you want to put a different OS on there, you could. If Windows is having their full screen experience, or PlayStation is having their full screen experience, technically this box could do any of those as well.
Yeah, you could put Game Pass on this. You could put PlayStation's new launcher that will probably come out sometime soon on
or
there.
Just run the great SteamOS that is like
SteamOS
is pretty good.
In the last few years, we've been kind of in the era where Xbox especially, but Sony as well, have been kind of trying to PCify their consoles, and now Steam is kind of doing the opposite. They're actually kind of consoleifying a PC, but it is still a PC. They're going to let you do, whatever you can do with your PC on this.
I think the attention to detail they have here is that they just made it really work with Steam as an ecosystem. So they're going to have a verified for Steam Machine, the same way that they have Steam Deck. It just works with your devices.
It almost seems like Steam is kind of building an ecosystem here. It's almost sort of like the Apple playbook where you can buy a lot of different Apple products. You don't actually need the entire ecosystem to work well together. You can use them with Windows devices, but they make it just really nice when you do have all the products in the ecosystem together. They just have a lot of nice added features. You can use a Steam box to run Windows and do all this other stuff if you want. But if you do get this and another Steam device or the Steam Deck or just run Steam on it in general, it's just going to work a little bit nicer. It's got all these little nice things. It doesn't feel like it's trapping you in the ecosystem. It feels like these are just kind of little things that just kind of pull you in a little bit. It's like a nice sweater
that you're wearing today. Well, speaking of ecosystems, that brings us to the final thing that they announced today, which is the Steam Frame.
And it's not just the headset, it's the new controllers as well. This is replacing the Valve Index, pretty much all new components. Importantly, it's running an ARM CPU, which is interesting. It's also a standalone headset. It's meant to run on its own. You don't need a breakout box. You don't need all the cables running around.
So this is more like a Quest.
It also has onboard tracking, so you don't need to put those tracker boxes up in your room.
A Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, 16 gigs of RAM, 256 or 1 terabyte storage options.
Importantly, both the headset and the Steam Machine have micro SD cards.
So they are expandable.
That's pretty nice. Yeah, I think that's what manufacturers are doing to get around the fact that they can't afford to put a lot of storage in these devices anymore, is that they'll let you do it.
2160 by 2160 LCD per eye, not OLED. Custom pancake lenses.
Yum.
Glass and non-glass optical elements for a large field of view up to 110 degrees.
I think the main thing that's interesting about this is I think we've kind of hit the tail end of VR headsets. So it's kind of interesting that they are releasing this. I think obviously they were probably working on this for a few years before we kind of knew that, but Sony's divesting from the headset, Meta's divesting from their headset. Apple Vision Pro 2 is not coming out. I'm sorry, Apple guys. I'm curious to see what their kind of value proposition is. Like, what's in it for Valve to release this?
Yeah, like you say, it's building up the ecosystem.
Yeah.
This could also be the testing the waters for an ARM-based Steam Deck. This is the first time that that Steam is like officially on ARM, that's in like a full capacity.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll add some sort of Steam Frame verified badge.
Yes,
on
they
Steam games.
confirmed that. Yes,
Right.
Basically, you buy it on Steam, and you could play it on your headset, you could play it on your Steam Deck, you could play it on your Steam Machine, or you could play it on your PC.
And I think that's an important point. I think this is not designed exclusively to play VR games. It's almost like a Steam Deck you can put on your head. This has monitor emulation that's not terrible. A lot of VR headsets don't actually do that very well. So this is almost meant to be a monitor replacement rather than a VR gaming device. This is meant to be a separate device, sort of like how the Steam Deck is. This is kind of a secondary piece.
Yeah.
You have your main PC where you do things, and then this is just kind of something you do on the side as a side activity. It's not meant to be its own separate experience. It's more of a lesser one.
It really shows where Valve has their priorities.
More
because,
importantly,
like,
it's 3 pieces of
oh
hardware.
my God.
Yes.
I really regret
Guys,
having you on
it's
here.
happening.
Kinsey, you're back in. There's some implications here. The hardware for the headset is wildly different than the Steam Machine.
Right. That means they had to totally spin up a completely new design process. This isn't
Yes.
just like what we already had that we're kind of throwing together. This signals a lot of intent from Valve
Yes.
to make this. They really wanted this to happen. So that means they see some value in this somewhere.
The fact that they worked with AMD to get a semi-custom chip. Usually we have Austin talk about the nerd stuff like that.
We're not nerds. We're actually cool.
Yeah, totally.
We were kind of talking about this. Aaron scoffed and said, no. This is the first time that we're really having Steam on ARM. There's no reason why we couldn't take an ARM device like Raspberry Pi. Look at all the Anbernic little handheld devices.
That's a better argument than what you said earlier.
But, like,
I actually think now that you mentioned the Anbernic, I think that makes a lot more sense. I don't think SteamOS is coming to a phone anytime soon. However, I do think a lot of these sort of mini device manufacturing companies, Anbernic, Ioneo, all these little doodad devices, SteamOS is actually could be a real choice for them to go with.
I don't think it's coming to a phone. I'm just saying it could. There's still the problems of, like, verification of those. It shows that they want to continue this because they are working on custom chips. They're working on multiple chips.
And also, Valve essentially did not market this. I mean, they don't really market anything. They very much let the products and the services speak for themselves.
Yes.
So it's not crazy to read into this what they're clearly trying to signal by releasing this. Valve doesn't really sell products at a loss, so they clearly see some profit here.
I'll say that it looks good. 152 millimeters tall, 162 millimeters deep, and 156 millimeters wide.
And a cube, importantly, is 3-dimensional, you guys.
Oh my God.
You know
Oh
that?
my God.
Oh, okay.
This is very, very easy to stick in your TV shelf.
One thing I will say is this cube that plays games doesn't have a carrying handle, so that's big news for us GameCube lovers out there. One important thing to note as we're shooting this right now, we don't have prices on any of this. Valve haven't announced that yet.
If Valve can make this for $500-600, they're gonna destroy the PlayStation and Xbox. We don't know, but
Right.
if they can give it to you for cheaper, that gives you the convenience of a console, the versatility of a PC, and not $1,000 like the Xbox is rumored to be next generation.
One of the main reasons why almost no other company can make consoles is because no one can afford to sell them at a loss because they don't have an ecosystem. Sony and Microsoft have an ecosystem, but now Valve have their own ecosystem, so maybe they might try to sell this at a loss or close to zero profit because they know they can get Steam sales on the back end. This is basically the closest anyone has ever come to being a true third competitor. I know Nintendo exists. They're just kind of playing with blocks in the corner. So this is the closest we've ever come to having sort of a true Sega-like competitor in a very long time. So,
Oh yeah, it's like that's good for everyone.
Yeah.
As much as I say that the controller looks cheap, the Steam Machine and the frame look amazing, like hardware-wise.
Yeah.
It's hard to ask for much more out of a device like this. This could replace your PC, but it's not meant to.
This is meant to be the second thing you buy after
Yeah.
you buy your PC.
Yeah, but like also like if you want to, you could.
One thing that does worry me, and that's just kind of a general worry I think we always have about Valve, is that their support for things is not the best. If they get bored of a product, if they get bored of a service, they just stop making it. Obviously, a lot of Half-Life jokes, but I mean, the Steam Deck is not seen basically any updates outside of the OLED. And we think there might be. There's been leaks, but we don't know because Valve will never say until they release it. We don't even know how many things they've halfway finished or
True.
halfway made that have been canceled because they just get bored and move on.
And that's a good point, but I feel like we see some intention here. I feel like this is a good reason to not have a new Steam Deck yet. We did see the OLED refresh, which was great.
It seemed like something that was kind of a freebie. I think Valve famously doesn't have the employee numbers as something like Microsoft or Sony. They're still pretty big. It seemed like something maybe a dozen people could throw together pretty quickly. So
Yeah, but like it's, at least in my opinion, like how disappointing has been the second generation of a lot of handhelds. The first generation of it was really good, and getting the new one is not that much better, and you could just get it for cheap.
I would counter that by saying maybe they weren't disappointing, but they weren't exciting.
If Valve sees this and they go, okay, well, we can either make a subpar Steam Deck 2,
Or a Steam Deck 2 Episode 1.
we can either make a subpar Steam Deck 2, or we can come out and say, here's a desktop console that we're actually gonna, like, they're pushing forward. They very easily could have just said, take the chip that's in the Steam Deck, go the PlayStation TV route. Now, I also don't think that would have been a bad move. If they can sell a Steam Deck for $400, imagine what they could sell a lower powered Steam machine for. But the problem is what's in the Steam Deck is not the most powerful chip in the world.
Right.
And when it's running games at, 720 or something like that, it's fine on a screen that size. But if you're pumping this up to a 4K screen,
Yeah.
you're gonna start noticing.
Now you're
some-
starting
yeah.
now you're starting to fight with what a gaming PC can do, and I think that's a battle that Valve probably doesn't want to fight. I don't think they want to get into the market of trying to push the edge. That's already a very contentious area. Valve is clearly trying to pick their battles here in a space that they can operate in that maybe others can't. This is actually similar to Nintendo in a way, is because I think because Valve has sort of a flatter management structure. Projects can spin up or down depending on just, frankly, how many people they can get excited about it. There needs to be something exciting about the new product for Valve employees to get beneath it or get behind it. Probably no one was that excited about just making another Steam Deck. So this was the move to keep the hardware going, keep the hardware train going, but get something, exciting.
I'm excited for it. I like this. I don't care that it's Valve. But like, I think they're doing the right thing here. It's all gonna come down to price.
Yeah.
Like if they come out and say this is like $1,000, my excitement is gonna plummet.
Frankly, the fact that they didn't announce the price
Yeah.
alongside this is a little bit concerning, if I'm
Correct.
honest.
I think this is a really good thing for the market. You know, like it,
Yeah.
like Aaron said, we haven't really had a real competitor to Xbox or PlayStation. Nintendo is obviously there, but like with them being their own closed ecosystem, it's
Yeah.
kind of like not the same conversation. There's not a lot for me to poke holes at with this. These specs are pretty good. Like they're reasonable. I think this is a great supplementary device, but it could be a primary.
Yeah.
It's giving you the flexibility of it. I'd love for more companies to get in on this.
I don't know how many others could, to be
Yeah.
honest.
I think this is exciting. And I'm like, again, I'm happy for it. To put my conspiracy hat on, like, what if Epic did this? Like, what if Epic made a Fortnite box that's the Epic launcher and, you know, where they can supplement their store with that?
If Fortnite OS?
You don't think a 14-year-old's going to buy a dedicated Fortnite device?
Well, isn't that what basically every phone is now?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe, like, a console doesn't have to be a bespoke, curated thing like the rumored Xbox
walled
is going to be.
garden.
There's also no reason that other manufacturers can't say, I'm going to make a Steam machine now.
Yeah,
And,
they
like,
could have add-in board partners, like
Right.
their own manufacturers, or Lenovo could make one of these or something.
It's cool. It's. I
Yeah.
mean, again, we kind of talked about this. The more choice you have, the better it is. Let us know what you think about Valve's hardware drop. Are you excited for it? What are you gonna play? Can't help but notice there was no Half-Life 3 today.
I can't wait to see J-Rig everything open one of these with a crowbar. That'll be pretty sick.
I like my cube-shaped things. Like, follow, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one.
3.